Premier League 2024-25. Liverpool dominates. Top 5 race becomes a fierce battleground. As the Premier League enters its decisive phase, the title race seems to have concluded earlier than expected. Under the leadership of Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool has showcased overwhelming dominance over the rest of the competition. Their victory at the Etihad against Man City in round 26 was nothing short of a powerful statement, almost extinguishing any hope of a comeback from their rivals. However, the true focal point of this season lies not in the race for the crown but in the fierce battle for Champions League qualification. UEFA's format change has opened the door for the Premier League to secure a 5th spot in Europe's most prestigious club competition, turning the top 5 race into a true survival battle. Previously, only 4 spots were available for the Champions League. But now, thanks to the outstanding performances of English clubs in European competitions, a 5th spot could be awarded to the Premier League. This has made the race more chaotic than ever, while Liverpool stands as the undisputed ruler of the title race. No team is truly safe in the fight for Champions League qualification. Currently, at least 8 teams are battling for every single point to break into the top 5. Each match carries immense significance, and a single misstep could send any team plummeting down the table. This season's Premier League is not only thrilling due to the quality of its teams but also because of the fierce competition on all fronts. Let's delve into the key moments and intense matches to get the most comprehensive view of this dramatic race. Fire like if you are a die-hard football fan. Repeat button share to debate with your fellow supporters. Bell subscribe now to stay updated with the latest news from Europe's top leagues. Once considered a direct competitor to Liverpool in the title race, Arsenal now faces a harsh reality. They are not even guaranteed a Champions League spot. With 54 points after 27 rounds, the Gunners hold a safe position in the top 4, 8 points ahead of 5th-placed Chelsea. However, their inconsistent form prevents them from being complacent. Under Mikel Arteta, Arsenal has had moments of brilliance but still lacks the consistency needed to maintain an advantage throughout a long and grueling season. If they fail to sustain their high-level performances in the final stretch, they could find themselves dragged into a fierce battle for a Champions League spot, where there is no room for mistakes. Nottingham Forest is producing the biggest shock of the season, climbing to 3rd place with 48 points, far exceeding expectations. While the title race seems all but decided with Liverpool's dominance, the battle for the top 4 remains chaotic. No team has shown true stability, and the unpredictability of the contenders makes this race more uncertain than ever. One misstep could completely alter the landscape. Manchester City is enduring one of their most forgettable seasons under Pep Guardiola. No longer the winning machine that once dominated the Premier League, their decline has become increasingly evident. A 0-2 defeat to Liverpool not only set them back in the title race but also signaled a worrying downward trajectory. An early exit from the Champions League has further fueled doubts about City's ability to maintain their elite status. Kevin De Bruyne, the team's maestro, is no longer at his peak, while Erling Haaland has struggled with persistent injuries. Their once dominant midfield now lacks the necessary creativity. If Guardiola fails to find quick solutions, Man City could face a trophyless season, an unthinkable scenario just a year ago. Meanwhile, Arsenal is dealing with a serious injury crisis, with Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, and Kai Havertz all sidelined. This is a significant blow to their top 4 ambitions, as all 3 play crucial roles in Arteta's system. Chelsea has emerged as one of the most intriguing stories of the season. Once written off as a massive disappointment after slipping to mid-table, the Blues have experienced a resurgence under Enzo Maresca. A recent run of impressive form has propelled them back into the top 4 race, with their dominant 4-0 victory over Everton in round 27 serving as a clear statement. Beyond just tactical improvements, Chelsea has demonstrated confidence and resilience in key matches. If they maintain this upward trajectory, they could force their way into the Champions League spots. Newcastle continues to be erratic this season. They suffered a 1-4 defeat to Man City in round 25 but then secured a thrilling 4-3 win over Nottingham Forest. Most recently, they fell to Liverpool, further highlighting their inconsistency. Nevertheless, the Magpies remain in contention for a top 4 finish. especially since the race remains wide open. If Eddie Howe can strike a balance between attack and defense, Newcastle could become a formidable force in the season's final stretch. Bournemouth and Brighton are emerging as unexpected challengers in the top 4 race. Bournemouth has had an impressive season and is just a few points shy of the Champions League spots. Meanwhile, Brighton, under Roberto De Zerbi, boasts a well-rounded squad and a fluid playing style. Both teams have shown their ability to perform in big games and can trouble any opponent. If they maintain consistency, Bournemouth or Brighton could spring a surprise and surpass the traditional powerhouses to secure Champions League qualification. In a season full of unpredictability, anything is possible. The race for the Premier League's top 4 has never been this chaotic and unpredictable. No team is guaranteed a Champions League spot, and the narrow point margins mean every match is a high-stakes battle. A single mistake, an off day, could push any team out of contention. With more than 10 rounds remaining, the intensity will only escalate as the Premier League enters its decisive phase. From now until the end of the season, every match will feel like a final, where errors cannot be afforded. While Liverpool has all but secured the title, the top 4 race has become one of the most fiercely contested in Premier League history. With at least 7 or 8 teams still in contention for a Champions League spot, every round could cause significant shifts in the standings. The most striking aspect of this race is that no team can confidently claim their place. The brutal nature of this competition is evident in how teams react after each round. A win can propel them forward, but one slip-up can immediately put them at a disadvantage. As the season nears its climax, the pressure will only intensify. Arsenal is at risk of jeopardizing their own position by continually dropping points against weaker teams. Without Saka, Arsenal loses pace and unpredictability on the right flank. Without Odegaard, they lack a playmaker to dictate the game. As for Havertz, despite being a polarizing figure, he remains crucial in pressing and linking up play. If Arteta cannot quickly find adequate replacements, Arsenal may find themselves dragged into a perilous Champions League battle. The biggest concern isn't just their points tally but their mentality. In the past, Arsenal has crumbled in the final stretch and lost their top 4 spot. If they cannot handle the pressure, history could repeat itself. Upcoming matches against direct rivals will serve as the ultimate test of their ambitions this season. No one could have predicted that Manchester City, the team that once dominated the Premier League under Pep Guardiola, would find themselves in this situation. Instead of contending for the title as usual, they are now fighting for a Champions League spot. Man City's end-of-season fixture list is not particularly daunting, but the key question is whether they can capitalize on their opportunities. If they continue to drop points against mid-table teams, missing out on the Champions League could become a reality, something unimaginable just a year ago. It's clear that if Man City fails to finish in the top 4 or even the top 5, it would be the biggest shock of the season. Given their caliber and ambitions, missing out on Europe's elite competition is simply unacceptable. Chelsea was once labeled the biggest disappointment of the season, but they have mounted a strong comeback. Their 4-0 win over Everton temporarily lifted them to 4th place, reigniting their Champions League hopes. However, that does not mean they are safe. Chelsea's biggest issue remains their attack. They lack a true number 9 who can consistently deliver goals. While their midfield and wingers have been effective, their finishing remains a major obstacle. If they fail to sustain their form and capitalize on chances against direct rivals, Chelsea could easily fall out of the top 4 in this intense final stretch. Newcastle continues to prove they are a tough competitor despite their recent loss to Liverpool. Their ambitions remain intact, especially with Alexander Isak in red-hot form and their attack firing on all cylinders. If they maintain their momentum, Newcastle could break into the top 4. Bournemouth is also one of the season's biggest surprises. They are only 1 or 2 wins away from breaking into the Champions League spots and have shown remarkable progress. If they sustain their consistency, Bournemouth could emerge as the season's most unexpected success story. The possibility of the Premier League securing a 5th Champions League spot only adds to the intensity of the race. Every remaining match will be a battle for survival. One factor that cannot be overlooked is the presence of relegation-threatened teams. In the past, many top 4 hopefuls have dropped crucial points against struggling sides. A draw against the likes of Sheffield United or Southampton could make a massive difference by season's end. Given the current landscape, it is safe to say that Liverpool is almost certain to lift the title, while Arsenal still holds a strong position in the top 4 race. However, the remaining spots remain a mystery. Man City might rely on their experience to make a late push, but their form and stability remain concerns. Chelsea, Newcastle, and Bournemouth all have opportunities if they can maximize their points in the final rounds. With margins so tight, no team can afford to relax. This race is destined to go down to the final matchday, where every goal could reshape the standings. A wild season is reaching its climax, and the upcoming matches will be nothing short of survival battles. Thanks for watching the video. Please like and subscribe to get the latest football news.